Hey guys, it's Miss Carter, and we are going to pick up where we were leaving off in chapter 8. So we're working on equations and inequalities is the chapter. Right now we're going to look at 8.4, combining like terms. So make sure you're looking at the correct document. It should look just like this one at the top. Okay. First thing we need to discuss is that in algebra problems, terms are separated by plus and negative signs, so a positive and negative. And the expression 5x minus 4 minus 3x plus 7 has four terms. It has 5x, 4, 3x, and 7. Terms having the same variable can be combined, added or subtracted, to simplify the expression. So we had a 5x and a negative 3x here. So they can combine those two. So we have 5x minus 3x. And then we also had a negative 4 and a 7. Notice that those two numbers don't have a variable, so they're considered like terms. Okay, so you can combine those. So when we do that, we have 5x minus 3, and that's going to give us a 2x here. And then we have a negative 4 plus 7. Remember our rules for adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. They have different signs, so we take the difference of the two, and then whichever number had the greater absolute value, that determines whether this is positive or negative. So 7 has a greater absolute value, so we end with a positive 3. Okay? We're going to work through a few of these together just so that you can kind of see, and then your assignment is to finish through number 21. Okay? So on our paper, we're going to write number 1. Okay? Number 1 says 4x plus 8x. Okay? We notice that we have two terms here, right? And we also notice that they both have the same variable, so that means that we can combine them together. This one is pretty straightforward. So we just simply add our 4 and our 8 together to give us a total of 12x as our answer. Remember to box in your final answer so you know what you want to be checked. Number 2. Number 2 reads 3y minus 5y plus 8. Notice that we have three terms here. We have a 3y, a negative 5y, and a positive 8. Okay, so I'm going to look for ones that have the same variables with it. And I'm going to notice that this 3y and this negative 5y both have the same variable, so I can combine those two to simplify this expression. Okay, so if I have a 3 and a negative 5 and I'm trying to combine those, I'm going to notice that this is a positive 3 and a negative 5, so those are going to be two different signs. So I'm going to take the difference between those two, and that's going to give me a 2. I'm going to take the absolute, whichever number had the greater absolute value, which is my negative 5 has a greater absolute value. So my answer is going to be negative 2y. And then this 8 is by itself. It's our third term, and there's no other numbers that are by themselves like that, so we can just add 8. So my final answer is negative 2y plus 8. Okay? Number 3. Notice that on my paper, I'm skipping a line in between them. That's just so that I can read clearly, because you want your paper to be very neat and organized. So make sure that as you go down, that's what you're doing. Okay? On this one, number 3 reads 2 minus 2x plus 3. Okay, you want to ask yourself, how many terms do I have here? I have 3 terms. I have a 2, a negative 2x, and a positive 3. This time, my negative 2x is the only one with a variable. So that means that I'm just going to bring it down you typically write the number with the variable first. So I'm going to put my negative 2x here. And now I just have to combine this 2 and this 3. They're both positive numbers, so that's pretty easy. And I'm going to end up with negative 2x plus 5 as my final answer. And I'm going to box that in. Okay? For the most part, this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to one of the more difficult problems, just because it'll have a couple different terms that we're going to combine. Okay, so remember that you need to fill in these answers here. I'm going to skip to number 8. So it's the next one, or the first one in this next column. So since that's how it's written on there, I'll put it over here. Okay. You can just continue down your paper and then put in number 8 wherever it falls on your work. Number 8 reads 5 minus 10t plus 3 minus 7t. And I want to simplify this, okay? So I'm going to work with my variables first. First of all, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different terms. I'm going to notice that I have a number with a variable with t, and that happens twice, so that's something I'm going to need to combine. And then I also have 2 numbers that are by themselves as far as they don't have a variable with them, so I'll need to combine those as well. I'm going to work with my number that has a variable with it first because we want to put that in front, right? So I have a negative 10t and a negative 7t. Those have the same sign, so they're both negative numbers. So that I'm just going to add them together. So 10 plus 7 is 17. And then I'm going to keep my negative symbol because I just got a larger number. If you want to, you can draw kind of an arrow just to kind of help organize yourself and think, hey, these two went together. So I'm going to put that arrow there so I know that those have already been worked on. Then, oh, sorry, don't forget to put your variable. Okay, so I have negative 17t, and now I'm left with a 5 and a 3. Both of those are positive numbers, so again, that's pretty straightforward, plus 8. So my final simplified answer is negative 17t plus 8. Okay? If you're unsure how to do any of these, you can pause and rewind and rewatch this video. You can also email me with any questions that you have on any specific numbers. These examples and these numbers for you aren't too bad. We will get into a little bit more difficult problems, but these ones should be pretty straightforward. Okay? Enjoy!